Hey, long time no see. Today we're going to be picking things up right where we left off, showcasing some of the awesome recipes that have been cycling through my weekly meal planning rotation. For today's dinner, we'll be making a super tasty roasted chickpea chicken salad coupled with a side of oven-roasted potato cubes. Nothing too crazy going on here, but lots of love for all of the individual ingredients we'll be putting together. And after a relatively long hiatus, I feel like I've got to address the elephant in the room, and I feel particularly comfortable doing so because I've got plenty of B-roll footage for the prep of the potatoes. Like, I'm sure you've seen me make these taters at least half a dozen times in the background of my previous videos over the years, and you're really not missing out on anything by me skipping over the step-by-step commentary. But back to the point at hand. What has Empty Pantry Entrees Tom been up to all of these past few months? Largely living life and enjoying its new chapters, and these chapters have brought with them a bit of reorienting in the amount of time that I can dedicate to this project as priorities shift. And with these shifting priorities has come a bit of introspection and reflection on what this channel has meant to me over the years. While I certainly love creating content, expressing myself in new ways, and learning how to make awesome food at home, I cannot lie, it's definitely a time-consuming hobby. Part of the reason why I pivoted to making short-form content for a while a few months back was because I saw it as a way to push out more content on a condensed schedule, as well as take advantage of the undeniable amount of exposure that it can unlock over the traditional long-form YouTube format. While I cannot deny the results, I definitely picked up more traction because of a few decently performing shorts, I didn't quite feel the same level of satisfaction that I got from long-form content. And ultimately, I think that stems from the inherent limitations of the format, with shorts being constrained to a shorter time duration, as well as being hyper-focused on attention-grabbing shticks that draw people in the first half second to a second. Short-form content has always seemed less fulfilling to me personally when I created it. And that's nothing against other creators that do find it fulfilling. I just personally felt my own blend of creativity wasn't quite represented in the medium. And because of this, I was a bit distant with the idea of content creation. Sure, I was making new recipes and I was saving them to my personal catalog, but I didn't quite have the energy and creative drive to share it with all y'all out here in the void of the internet. Naturally too, I wondered if I'd ever even come back to Empty Pantry Entrees with the full zest that I had before, when before I would shoot above all else for a new episode every Friday, regardless of the quality. Or even more so, I wondered if I would just write Empty Pantry Entrees off as a finished product. You know, Empty Pantry Entrees, after all, has made me much more present and grounded in the kitchen, and I get a whole lot of fulfillment now out of a mandatory daily ritual of food preparation. Makes it seem a little bit less like a chore when the process is a passion in and of itself. And that got me thinking, Empty Pantry Entrees has always been about creativity for me. Not only with the artsy shots and the snappy cuts and whatnot, but also in the thought that goes into the food that fuels myself and those around me. This hobby of getting all dressed up, dimming the lights in the background, and taking 3 times as long to get dinner on the table may not sound quite so appealing to others, but it is one that has allowed me to express myself in ways that none of my other hobbies have allowed. Because of this project, I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours reading recipes online, watching other creators, and delving through Reddit posts reading about new techniques to try, just to spice things up here and there. I even got into gardening, which if you ask me, learning how to take care of a small herb garden has been one of the most rewarding hobbies, particularly in the summertime. But that's all a little bit off topic. We're talking about creativity and what Empty Pantry Entrees is going to look like for the foreseeable future. I might still make dedicated short-form content from time to time, particularly on more smaller, educative topics that tend to interest me, but I want to reorient primarily back to long-form content. Mostly because that direction is one that will continue to develop that creative energy we've been talking about today. Both in terms of the dishes that I prepare for y'all out there, as well as the nature of the overlaid monologue. I think there will be room in the long-form content for some insight on why I use one technique or another when preparing a dish, but ultimately I want to avoid just mechanically listing out the ingredients and steps to follow. That's something I'll be saving for the PDF version, as linked on the website. Which I guess that means Empty Pantry Entrees is evolving into a new stage. And I guess that's the highest level of evolution for all recipe content creators on the internet.